Wednesday. What is this? This is like week 10, day 27 of the class. BCA-101, Introduction to Computers. We talked about the web design. So, first thing we did, the students access their web page. We talked about what you would need. For example, the URL you would really need is just to here. And here is the student's last name and first and middle initial. And this is the default file the Apache web server looks for in those directories where there's the public HTML. And then we said there's a public address, so we said this is the private, this is the public, so they could use a public address and access it anywhere they have access to the internet. We used Nano. We logged into the site and we used Nano today to update their files. You wouldn't have to use Nano, but I like to use Nano as an example because then they can update them from either using a Mac or using a PC. A PC in Puddle and Putty, Putty, and a Mac using terminal window. So here sits the work server, and we talked a little bit then how that information moves through the internet. And we said, you know, here's an address, but we could have a domain name access that address. If that makes sense. And then the domain name goes through DNS, which then gives it an IP, and an IP is used to send the traffic through the... Okay. We talked about portals, an intranet, and an extranet. You know, like at NIACC we have a portal, and that portal is only accessed by people here at NIACC. The portal works as an intranet. It's using browsers and World Wide Web information to communicate within a company. For example, in NIACC, within NIACC. We use that to communicate within a company, and typically you don't let outside people in. It's an intranet. Now if you want to let in one particular company, then you can create an extranet and allow them to communicate. Alright, we talked about their network at home. They probably have a private IP address, I would guess. I asked students to check at home. Then they have this little fancy piece of equipment that acts like a router, a switch, and an access point, all together in one. And then there is a public address. That's right here. You go through some modem to get to your ISP. And the last thing, let's go back and do a little bit of review here. We'll do the review in blue. When you have information on a website, the information then, we used example in class like video. Video is made up of a whole bunch of frames. The server there, the web server that's serving up the information, will take and it'll package a group of those and send them into the internet as packets. So the internet would do packet switching. It would take that packet, and then they would get another packet, and it would move those packets through the internet. And let's say you're watching the video at home, and those packets then would come into your house, into your, it could be your browser, okay, or some piece of software, some app that can read those packets and play the movie. And so the packets, don't necessarily have to take the same route through the internet, but they all end up here, and then they're displayed. And this, by the way, is called streaming. So when you hear the term packet switching network, that's what they mean. They're actually switching packets. Here. Last thing we talked about was the project. And we talked a little bit about they need to get started, and the videos and the assignment would help you get going in the project. Alright, and so make sure if you run into some questions, project 4, ask. Probably most important thing is to get started ASAP. That's it.